Cleveland police are searching for a suspect who posted a video of him murdering someone on Facebook Live. The Ohio man shot and killed an elderly passerby Sunday afternoon, and then he posted it to Facebook. Obviously, his account and the Facebook video have since been removed. Now, law enforcement officials have identified the suspect, although we're not going to say his name here. Cleveland Police Chief Calvin Williams said officers were searching for him in the Cleveland area and beyond. The victim was identified as 74-year-old Robert Godwin Sr. Let me tell you a little bit more about what was in the video. In the video, which appears shaky, gets out of his car and appears to randomly target Godwin, who was holding a shopping bag. The suspect says the name of a woman whom Godwin does not seem to recognize. And then the suspect says, quote, "She's the reason that this is about to happen to you." Before pointing a gun at him, Godwin can be seen shielding his face with the shopping bag. It's incredibly upsetting to those who have seen the video. Now, Facebook has issued a response. They have said, quote, "This is a horrific crime and we do not allow this kind of content on Facebook. We work hard to keep a safe environment on Facebook and are in touch with law enforcement in emergencies when there are direct threats to physical safety." So the questions that people are asking surrounding this case is perhaps Facebook is complicit in some way for allowing this to have been on the internet for 3 hours. Maybe there are people that would want to copy his sort of actions, people that look up to madmen like this, which we know that there are people that do. What is your response to those sort of accusations, Brett?
Me, okay, so here's what I think. I think that there is a governing, it's called Section 230, and it is the law that is intended to protect internet sites or service providers from being prosecuted for the acts of people who post on that site. And that's really where the rubber meets the road, and any kind of tweak to enforcement of that or the phrasing of that could have wide-ranging effects on the general liability of internet companies by and large. In this case, it does seem like Facebook has been changing as rapidly as I can expect them to in order to make it so that they are cooperative with law enforcement in situations like this one, where it seems like they should be giving information or at least taking down the video to discourage copycats like that.
Which they
I just
did.
don't know how they would physically be able to automatically notify folks that, or automatically understand and know that that kind of illicit content is put on their site.
Well, and also that sort of illicit content is being created, because remember, this was a Facebook Live. It wasn't like this was a video that was pre-recorded. This was happening in real time. So it doesn't seem as though there's that sort of technology where they could be able to sense this and then take the video down or tell authorities in a timely manner to avoid the situation from happening.
Yeah, Facebook totally, utterly not guilty. So in order to stop this, you'd have to stop all live broadcasts, which then gives a monopoly back to giant multinational corporations who are the only ones who have billions of dollars that could start TV stations. So then you could do your 7-second delay that costs so much money to do on giant broadcast networks, etc. No, look, there's enormous upside to being able to go live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, etc. And it connects us all. Is it going to be abused by some madmen, including this guy? Yeah, of course it is. And so should they regulate that as soon as they can? Of course, and they did. They took it down as quickly as they as they could. Everybody's cooperating. They have a picture of the guy. They're all trying to find him. And I don't think that it encourages copycats anymore. I mean, there was a guy who went and shot 2 people in the middle of a live local television news broadcast. Should we blame local television and shut it down? Right? No, of course not. So it's look, there's bad actors that have the potential to ruin good things, and it applies across so many different facets, but we can't make rules based on a tiny percentage of people. Now, everybody's rooting for this guy to be found. He apparently boasted in another video that he's killed dozens of people. Now, the authorities are not sure they believe him about that. Well, I understand, because he doesn't have a lot of credibility, right? On the other hand, I'd take it seriously, given that he apparently shot someone not only live and hence kind of bragging about it and is obviously mentally unstable, but also because that dude is totally random because of something his girlfriend did. And he's like, oh, I'm mad at her, so that's because of this, you're gonna get killed. So the guy's a clear lunatic. Let's go find him right away. But
Yeah,
that doesn't mean we should change the way Facebook or the internet works.
So he is considered to be armed and dangerous as of now, and police are still searching for him.
They were in contact with him and told him to turn himself in, and he hasn't since. But who's to say? I mean, these are those who's to say statements. Like, who's to say that this guy wouldn't have just shot someone on the street without Facebook Live? Now, in this situation, maybe it was the fact that it was on Facebook Live that's in the zeitgeist right now, and you have footage of it that brings it to the attention of a lot of folks who then are able to put pressure on the authorities to get in touch with Facebook and then find out more information. But then again, there's all these other ambiguities about in what situation does Facebook collaborate with law enforcement. In this case, again, I think this is a good time to do that. In other cases, when the government's trying to get information on people to monitor them, that's a different story if they haven't done anything wrong. But in this video specifically, there is video of him shooting someone. So let's get that guy.
Yeah, and you can get a warrant for that. And remember when we used to get warrants? So, the rest of the cases get a little unclear. In a case like this, I think it's fairly clear. And look, I think there's a lot of fear mongering going around. Like, you remember when they used to talk about Craigslist killers?
Right.
Like, oh my God, they found somebody on Craigslist and then killed him. Yeah, there's been killers for a long time. You could have called him the Yellow Pages killer. They found him on the Yellow Pages and killed him. That doesn't mean the Yellow Pages did it.
Well,
He's the guy who did it.
If you recall in Terminator, when Arnold Schwarzenegger is looking for Sarah Connor, he goes through the phone book to find her.
Sarah Connor.
I'm just saying that that's a very good example. We would have called him the Yellow Page killer if the Terminator was real, and it is not a real story.
No, but actually, little known fact, they were thinking of naming the movie The Phone Book Killer.
No,
they were not.
I thought the phone book.
Of course, I made that up.
Yeah,
but I'm too gullible to know that. Now I'm like, what?
Okay. Yeah. This is.
By the way, we wouldn't have even known the guy if he hadn't done it on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Like, so the small upside in this is that he did it live, so we immediately know who it is.
Right. The governing principle: don't kill people. In this situation, he did. This is a way we can catch them the same way that police have various avenues of evidence that they can pursue to catch killers. This is one that, I mean, at least there was video of it and he's gonna be convicted.
Yeah, my final thought on this would just be, I talk about killers a lot on Murder with Friends. I'm very familiar with a lot of what their MOs have been, and a lot of them are egomaniacs. And in this case, it seems like this was a guy that wanted a lot of attention, that was an egomaniac, and fortunately, it seems as though he's going to have a swift apprehension, we can hope, because he wanted that sort of attention, that sort of notoriety that unfortunately he really did get in the end.
So Grace, it's a great point, and let me just say, look, that's been my theory for a long time now, that what unites the terrorists and the mass shooters and guys like this is looking for attention and looking for glory in all the wrong places, right? The kid who did the Sandy Hook shootings collected the clippings of the other mass shooters. They're all looking for glory in their own way. And so I hear you that, hey, if he gets to do it live, then maybe that he feels like, hey, I'm gonna get more famous.
At the very least, the girl might see it, that his attention, who he was upset with.
Right, but he could have walked into a live shot on a local news or a national news story.
It doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be Facebook, but this aligns with a lot of what we know about crazed killers. Is that they want that sort of notoriety. If they're going to go out, then they want people to know their name, which is really tragic.
Podcast the Young Turks anytime you want. TYTnetwork.com/join.
I think it's weird.
No, it's not weird. In fact, you'll think,
I'm like a smart person.
Do it now. TYTnetwork.com/join.